All right, hey everybody, meteorologist Ryan Wichman here in the WCOL 11 Weather Center. So glad you're joining us here, keeping a close eye on the temperatures that have just started to drop across the Toledo Metro. We're going to be keeping a close eye on this one. It's arriving right on schedule. The colder air, I can feel it right here in downtown Toledo. We felt the drop, and after being as warm as 56 degrees earlier this morning, we've now dropped all the way back down into the upper 30s. Now, places like BG are still warm, 49 degrees, 49 in Fremont, 51 in Findlay. Come on in, hang out, and we will get started on a Facebook Live here on a Thursday alert day morning, one of these days where we anticipate temperatures to continue to drop off as the day goes on. What we're going to do is send out a push notification right now over to our friends that are watching on the WTOL 11 weather app and also over on Twitter and Facebook, just so we can get as many friends and people in here as possible. If you're watching from around the area, type in where you're watching. I'd love to hear from you. All you have to do is put in the comment section where you're watching from, and we'll give you a little bit of a shout out as we get started here on a Facebook Live on an alert day Thursday for snow that is likely on the way this evening, along with a little bit of a wintry mix with the ice and snow. All right, so let's send some of this out. There we go. I'm watching some other pictures here from over in Cleveland where they're getting some big time ice and snow coming down. Let me pull up the Facebook page so I can watch you guys with your comments that are coming in. Bradner, Sherwood, Bowling Green, Toledo, glad to have you guys along for us. I'm just working behind the scenes here, popping up the screens. Toledo, good to see you. I know you're all asking, how much are you going to see? How much are you going to see? Just give me a minute here, guys. Let me get started. I promise I'll get to our snow maps in just a minute. We've got a shout out for Fremont, Perrysburg. Question from Janice, expecting power outages with the icing? No, I don't think it's going to be that sort of ice. I know so many times when you hear us say the word ice, let me get the camera adjusted. You hear me say the word ice, and you get worried, right? Because so many times we've had icing events where that ice coats the power lines of the trees and causes them to come down. I don't think it's going to be that kind of storm or that kind of ice. There's two different types of ice that can fall from the atmosphere. One's called freezing rain, and that's the type that falls as rain, but the surface temperature is colder than freezing. So it kind of falls as rain and then immediately sticks to everything. That's the nasty ice, okay? The more likely type of ice that we're gonna see today is what's called sleet. So I typically just don't even use the word sleet. I just call it ice pellets because that's exactly what it is. They're small little pellets made of ice. And essentially what's going on in that situation in the atmosphere is up higher, the snow is falling and it hits a very small layer in the atmosphere. It could only be a couple 100 feet deep of temperature slightly above freezing. So it melts that snow and turns it into more of a ice pellet. And then that continues to fall back down and refreezes as it gets down closer towards the surface. So a little bit of the science that's going into that. But again, if you're just joining me, I'm so glad you are. Meteorologist Ryan Wichman here. Hit that share button. We are live right now on the WTOL 11 Facebook page. Some shout outs to Bellevue, Marblehead, Port Clinton, Waterville, Findlay, Monroe, Bryan. So glad that you guys are joining us so far for this morning. This is a live chat, so feel free to keep your questions and comments coming on in. I'd love to see them and read them as we go along, and I want to make sure that I can see all of these comments. Here we go. Okay. Just give me 1 second here. There we go. Now I can see more of them coming in. We've got Springfield Township. We've got downtown Toledo. We've got Catawba Island. Good to have you along. I like going over there. Maybe it's a little bit warmer. And that sort of thing. So let me talk about what's going on in the atmosphere right now, okay? Because we know what's going on as far as the temperatures. It's gotten colder here across the Toledo Metro. Just a few minutes ago, watch this. I'm going to put the clock into motion and show you. At 10 a.m., our temperature was 50 degrees. Now here at 10:30, it's down to 38 degrees. So our temperature is dropping, 37 in Wauseon, 40 in Bryan, and we're hovering just above freezing across southern Michigan, 33 in Adrian, 33 in Hillsdale. And look how warm it is down to the south. So 51 in Findlay, 49 in Fremont. So that cold front is going to continue to progress southward through the remainder of the morning. Let me zoom out so we can watch how the progress over the last, let's do the last 4 hours. And you can see how those temperatures have slidden down as that cold air is starting to now creep into northwest Ohio. Now, one thing we are noticing, we're kind of in between two waves going on in the atmosphere. First wave gave us our heavy rain this morning during the morning commute, so that is now passed off to the east of us. What we're watching right now, we're in a little bit of a quiet zone right now, and this will continue for the next few hours, but look what's lurking off to the south and west. This is what will come in during the afternoon. We expect this to fill in rather quickly by the time we get after lunchtime or so for today. And so you combine this next slug of moisture coming in with rainfall, or with dropping temperatures, and that's why we're anticipating things to cool off rather quickly. I was looking for my little point tool that I have on here, but it doesn't seem to be on here. Oh well. So that's just something that we'll certainly be watching for. Let's put it in here. Here we go. Just making some adjustments behind the scene. There you go. So here's this cold air, obviously, across northern Missouri and Illinois. That's where they've got snow coming down there. This rain-snow line essentially works in an arc all the way to here into northwest Ohio. So when this rain comes in this afternoon, it will initially start as rain, or if you live across southern Michigan, probably these ice pellets here. But as enough cold air eventually filters down near sunset, that's where we'll eventually switch over more to just plain old snow. I'm going to bring the camera back up, give some more shout outs here. Shelley says, we are over winter. Well, you might be. Not all of us. Clyde, hey, good to see you. Adrian, give you a shout out. Swanton, Defiance, Oregon, Pioneer, good to see you. Pete says hi. I say hi, Pete. Good to see you. Defiance, Richard is checking in for us there. We've got a couple of Defiance friends that are checking in. So glad to have you along. Let me bring up a couple of my other maps here so you can see what we're looking at. I'm going to bring in our snowfall map. I'm not going to show you guys that one just yet. I know. That's what everybody wants. So we're going to make sure that everybody is in here before we show that one off. Let me bring my hour-by-hour forecast in here so you can see the latest. All right, let's do this one. Let's do our hour-by-hour forecast, okay? So I'm going to run the clock here. So there's our rain departing. And you can see by 1, 2 o'clock, notice how it fills back in. Not only that, but notice that temperatures are back down below freezing. So 31 in Toledo, 32 in Bowling Green. Now, further to the south, it's probably just going to be plain old rain. And what we're probably seeing here in the southern part of this is probably just going to be freezing rain and then some ice pellets that'll be mixing in as well. But it'll quickly switch over to just plain old ice pellets. Look how temperatures start to drop. Now, this is going to be very interesting for us. Let's add that in. Joink. Okay. So what's going to be interesting here, notice this cold air that's in place now across southern Michigan, and the dividing line is almost right along the Maumee River. We'll probably set up just north of the Maumee River between sleet or ice pellets and snow here. So obviously, if you get a long period of these ice pellets, that's going to cut down the amount of snow you're going to get. And if you're just north of this line, that's kind of the sweet spot for where you're going to end up getting the most amount of snow. So probably across southern Michigan and then west out towards Williams and maybe extreme Fulton County and extreme Lucas County is where we'll probably end up seeing the heaviest of the snowfall. Watch this burst that comes in. This is the burst that I've been really looking out for. This comes just after the sun goes down. And the reason why I keep bringing this up, this will be a short-lived burst. It might only be a half hour or an hour of snowfall, but snow's going to come down at the clip of about 1 inch per hour when this clip comes through, and that's going to be really tough for snowplow crews to keep up with. So I expect after this time frame, once we switch over to snow, roads are going to turn really nasty. Not only that, but look at the temperatures, 23 in BG, 24 Findlay, 21 Toledo. Salt turns less effective the colder it gets, and so I expect roadways are going to turn pretty nasty overnight, especially with temperatures that will go back down into the teens for us. So let's look at the snowfall map. Still looks likely that what we're looking at is the heaviest snow just north and west of the Toledo metro. Obviously, this is a razor-thin line between the heaviest of the snow and no snow. Look at this. It's about a 30-mile gap, 20-mile gap in some places between 1 to 2 inches of snow, maybe up to 3, but I really think it's probably more like a 1 to 2 inch type of snow. 3 to 5 inch snow within a couple miles of the Maumee River, and then heavier snow up here across southern Michigan where they could get a half a foot of snowfall over into Williams County as well. Probably where we're going to end up seeing the heaviest of the snowfall. So we're getting some reports of rain that's happening out there, and I expect it still to mainly be rain for the next couple of hours. We haven't dropped enough for us for temperatures to allow for any frozen precipitation, at least not across northwest Ohio. We just dropped into the 30s And that makes me want to look, see if we dropped off another, yep, we just dropped off another degree in Toledo. So we're down to 37 degrees right now in Toledo. I'm going to do this because I'm curious. There you go. So we're still showing temperatures a little bit warmer on the east and south end of town, but I think we're going to see those update rather quickly. Other questions you guys have? Power outages, are we worried about that? No, not really. I don't think that'll be a big problem for us. Other questions, shout out for Tiffin, good to see you. But yeah, we're going to be watching right here in the WTOL 11 Weather Center. So glad you guys joined us here, but everything's still on schedule. Next couple of hours, fairly quiet. Things won't really ramp up as far as the roadways getting bad, I think, until the sun goes down or after 4 tonight. So you guys be careful out there, and we'll be watching it right here in the WTOL 11 Weather Center. Take care.